I think I picked the best possible way to end that last video because it's like derogatory statement about a certain... Alright, here's a rant. I never understood why it's like, oh, that's racist. I'm like, Jew isn't a race because you can convert to it. If you can convert to it, it's not a race. You can't just wake up one day and be like, well, shit, I guess I'm black. I mean, nowadays you probably can because people wake up one day and decide they're fucking, like, this, that, and the other, and that's really stupid. But, like, it's not a race, it's a religious practice. So that's the thing that annoys me. And I've had someone try and explain it, and I was like, that's great that that's how you think, but that doesn't mean it's right. Like, Christianity's not a religion, dude. Or excuse me, not a religion, not a race. Being a vegan isn't a race. You know, just other examples of common sense that you think people would use. But, for whatever reason, they don't. So, hypnoshrooms they're okay, I won't lie. For 75 Sun, they don't necessarily feel worth it to me, but they have a really cool effect. So, they'll turn around. What you generally do is you put it right there at the end of the lane, so this way they walk all this way, and then they turn their happy ass around, and then they start eating their friends. But the thing is, generally, they're pretty weakened down anyway, so they have a low health bar on top of that, along with it costing 75 Sun, meaning, like, instead of using a potato mine, and, you know, you could plant 3 potato mines for the cost of a single fucking hypnoshroom, like, I don't know, it doesn't feel like it's worth it to me. Now, what is worth it is when it's in the second game, because you can turn them into, a huge force. We'll leave it at that. They have a special ability where they can become gigantic and really good like that. But in this game, they're kind of shit. So if I gave it to maybe a Buckethead, then sure, it might be able to knock out like 2 zombies, and that's about it. But in other words, it's just not good. I don't really like it too much. I'll think I'll show it like maybe once or something just to show you guys, hey, here's how it works. Because if you plant it like right down here, then they're not going to have time to run around and eat their friends because it's like they're already off the screen. And then if you put it down here, it's like, oh man, look at my already weakened cone head. Here, actually, this is a perfect example. These are one of the few examples that would be really good, would be the football guys, because they're already incredibly hard to kill, so just going ahead doing that and having them turn around, that makes your life a lot easier, because they are hard to kill, and yeah, they will tear through a few guys. So that's one of the cases, just because that's quicker than planting down a potato mine and letting them demolish my entire lane. But yeah, I'm not crazy about it. I'm not gonna say it's a bad plane. It's not one that I would put in my top 10. It's more of like a cool novelty than it is something incredibly useful. I don't know what happened, but okay. Mostly because I wasn't looking at that portion of the screen. Yes, I can plant where I want to plant. Do not sass me. I also really like the sound effect that the Gravebusters make. I think it's cool sounding. And now that we've torn down the entire lawn, so I really like the night stuff. And you can see how much they change it. Yo, it's got a range on it. Good job. I mean, I knew it had a range, but it's nice to be able to see just how far it actually reaches. Actually, I'm going to hold on just in case there's a bucket head or a football guy or something. Yeah, you can see there's that. So the question... Excuse me, do I turn him around or do I wait and maybe plant a cherry bomb? I missed! Because I'm crap. Well, shooty mamas. Alright, let's try and get one more sun, and then we can at least blow him up. Come on, quickly, quickly. That's why I didn't want to have the lawnmower trip, just so this way I could at least get the money out of that. So essentially, when it comes, the thing that I don't really like about this is that it renders all of your old stuff useless. So like we've already got our replacement pea shooter, we've got our replacement sunflower, but like it renders so much of this stuff null and void. That's the thing I don't necessarily like. So it feels like certain plants are only useful in certain situations, and it's kind of shit. I mean, the Scaredy Shroom, which is, I believe, the first plant we've obtained that doesn't appear in the sequel. Good job. But, Scaredy Shroom's good. I like it. It's just... It's one that afterwards... Alright, let's be blunt. You're very unlikely to use any of these shrooms after this chapter's over. There's like one other instance, and that's about it. I'm not gonna go too into detail about it. Oh, you're spoiling a game that's 7 years old. I mean, in all fairness though, I didn't play Majora's Mask until 2011, so there's that. People can be late to the party if they want to be late to the party. The point is, there's still a fucking party going on. Alright, so now I can go ahead and take this as a moment to look back at my little list, which I wrote on my phone. Alright, here we go. Here's one that I think is really funny. People that bitch about cats, or like the idea that they can't train them or whatever, like, cats, I think, are really easy to train, because you gotta remember one thing. It's an animal. What do animals understand better than animalistic behavior? So, if we're thinking about a cat, we're thinking about like a pack, we're thinking about how it interacts with other cats. Meaning, all you gotta do is just alpha male the shit out of them and they'll respect you. They're still gonna love you, they just gotta understand who the big cat is. That's it. I don't understand why people are like, oh, my cat scratches. Like, bitch, my cat doesn't have the fucking balls to raise his paw up to me. He knows damn well if he does, he's gonna get his ass whipped. And, like, it's not even a thing of, like, he's abused or anything, because he's fucking not. He's happy, he loves me, he fucking rubs his stupid face against me all night. They're gonna remember the idea that you fill their bowl. So don't worry. It's just, as terrible as it sounds, you kinda gotta put them in their place. They're not hard to train. Enough coaxing and scorning and telling them no, and they learn. Like, it's really not hard. You just can't teach them stupid tricks that absolutely have no meaning, like shake hands. Like, a lot of fucking things that's gonna do you in life, right? All that is like an interesting party trick, and that's about it. Hey man, you wanna shake my dog's hand? Like, what is that gonna do? Nothing. You know what they should know? The words no and like get down and stuff like that. Like, I don't even have to say anything. If I even make a leg motion in their general direction and they know they shouldn't be doing it, they get the hell down. They stop doing what they're doing. They know what they are and aren't allowed to do. It's not hard. Right here, I guess. Alright, let's see what else we got, because I have another idea on this. Yep, it's right next on the list. One thing I also think is kind of funny, reincarnation. Now, reincarnation is another thing that I feel like has been factually proven with science and shit, kind of like ghosts, but it's one that most people don't entirely accept as like a social, I guess, a social construct, an idea, a fact. Even though it is pretty much a fact. Like, for starters, let's go right back to, what's his name, Einstein, I'm pretty sure? I might be misquoting. Someone had the basic law that matter cannot be created nor destroyed. So all matter is recycled, and then if you've ever paid attention to certain, there's been people who have had such fucking creepy, scary reportings, it's kind of unsettling, where it'll be like a kid, and the kid talks about his past life, like, no, you're not my mother, I was in the Twin Towers on 9/11, what's going on? Stuff like that, where it's really unsettling, It's usually in the younger years, because after they reach a certain age, your brain kind of just kills that information. But, like, that's a combination of, like, terrifying and entertaining. So the Scaredy Shroom right there, he's got full range across the whole launch, just like Pea-Shooter. Just as long as the zombie doesn't get near him, he's good. Let me stop for a sec. I noticed I moved the frame, so that's why I wanted to stop so I could fix it. Alright, but going on the idea of reincarnation, though. Aside from, you know, like, why... I was gonna say about... There's definitely been studies about, like, oh, this person died in this way, like, this time, and then the person they were reincarnated to felt this pain or sensation just in the way that they died. Like, oh, at this time that person had been shot, and the dude was, like, choking, he started crying out of nowhere, or whatever the hell, and felt like this burning pain. And then there's birthmarks, which people believe as well. But the main thing I wanted to get to was I never understood how people would say, you'll be reincarnated as a bug, or whatever. Like, why do you have to be reincarnated as a different animal? Why can't a dog be reincarnated into another dog, and a person as another person? Why does it have to be, like, something different all the time? That's the thing I don't necessarily understand. Like, why does it have to be that? Why can't all people just, like, why, firstly, would you even turn into a different animal to begin with? Why? Like, firstly, that's kind of demoralizing the life of that animal, saying, well, this life is worth more than that life. Like, definitely there are certain perks to certain things. Like, let's not sugarcoat it, we're top of the food chain, we're the best. Go us. But I don't know, it seems weird. Speed this up. Okay, I thought that was it for a second. And then there was... Oh yeah, I think this is fun. I think this is a really fun concept to think about. What if the reason homosexuality exists is because they were a different gender in their past life? You missed. So what if the reason people are gay is because, like, they were a woman in their past life and now they're a man, so it feels natural to them, and vice versa? Like, why not? You can see how fast and how dangerous he is, in case you couldn't tell. I don't think I'm gonna be able to get him, maybe if I'm lucky. Let me stall for time real quick. There we go. I lucked out. In a weird way, it's actually kind of good that, excuse me, that we got to see him decimate through my stuff. I don't know if I really want that, do I? We got a choice, Hypno or Freeze. I'm gonna say Freeze, because I just want to have the Cherry Bomb on me. I feel safer like that. But yeah, we got to see how the Scaredy Shroom gets scared when you get close to it. But for the most part, Scaredy Shroom's actually really, really good, because it's got the full-on coverage, and it's super cheap, so it's good. It's just I rarely kind of put out until I feel like the lawn is cleared, because I want to keep the sun I've got. Even though it only costs $125, so I could, in theory, do it really, really quickly and have all my lanes covered, but it doesn't matter, because we got all these puff shrooms that just keep going and keep going. So, technically not everything's the same, because we got, you know, different plans, like the free shroom and all that, but still, for the main point is the content, the concept, the idea, we'll say, has been recycled a few times with these different plants. You saw the dancing zombie? So this... it makes me sad. Back when this game first came out in like 2009, when Michael Jackson was still alive, it was the Thriller zombie, the Michael Jackson zombie. No, that is not a lie. That's what it's supposed to be. It's based off of the Thriller video. So, the idea that they censored it and changed it kinda makes me sad, because the point of fucking Thriller was that he was a zombie. So the fact of him actually dying just means he lives on in the game. like, it's only offensive if you choose to think of it in that way and make it seem offensive. Then yeah, sure, you can get pissy. But I don't know, it seems dumb to be like, oh, well, now he's dead, can't do it anymore. I don't like that, is pretty much what I'm getting at. I mean, I also don't like censorship in general. Which, that is a thing. There's been some games I've thought about where I'm like, well, what if this has nudity? Like, what do I do? The short answer is absolutely nothing. I wouldn't change anything. The most I would do is maybe, like, include a warning in the description, or say so at the beginning of the LP, I don't know. But I don't think I would take it out. There's one exception where I would cover it, and that's because there's a difference between nudity and tasteless nudity. So yeah, I won't lie, there's one tasteless game I would totally LP. But, it didn't sound like Thriller right there, maybe I'm crazy. Alright, so what you can do is if you get a Hypno Shroom, you can feed it to him, and then he'll summon those, dancer zombies. So that's the smarter move to do, but I didn't want to because I wanted to have the free Shroom out so we could show that off. But, yeah, there you go. It's supposed to be Thriller, he summons up guys, and they're all like, hey man, let's have ourselves a dance. And it's all good, innocent fun until someone decides to fucking cry over it. Like, sometimes I think about hypothetical fights I could get myself into just so I could make the other person feel stupid. Like, oh, I'm sorry that you're offended by that. I'm like, what were you thinking? Like, well, I was thinking that getting offended by that would be incredibly fucking stupid and childish, and that person would need to grow up. That's what I was thinking. You know, kind of like I just want to be a dick to people who are stupid, so I want stupid people to be around me so I can be a dick to them, kind of. That sounds so fucked up, but that's kind of the truth. It's like I'm mad at stupid people, so I kind of wait for the time where they show up so I can be mad at them. Because so many times you just hear it from other people, like, oh, this person did this, that person did that, as to where it's, I would say in my experience, very unlikely that you yourself are in the firing line. But there you go, it freezes them in their tracks. So that's one of the few things that's really, really worth it. We'll just go ahead and we'll keep posting this down, putting them down, because they're not going to get close enough to really matter for the, what's it, Fume? Yeah, Fume Shrooms. I always get those ones confused as far as the name goes. Bye! Oh, get a load of what this one is, guys! So remember that idea of like, hey, we're just replacing the old plants? Well, here's another one. This is also another one of the plants that is pretty good. Oh, no, there's Michael Jackson. So now I guess it comes down to, which do we want to do? Yeah, because I don't necessarily need all three. We can do this, I guess. Except that's bothering me, so let's do... No! That. There you go. Do I really want Hypno or do I want Freeze? Because I want Hypno for the sake of, like, Michael Jackson, but I don't because Freeze is just better. So let's do that instead. I'd rather freeze a bunch of guys than gamble on some percentage. That's pretty much what it comes down to. I sound like such a terrible person, though, don't I? It's more that I mean well in just the worst kind of way. But here, we can switch the conversation to something else that's like an interesting thing to wrap your mind around. I'm pretty sure I've said this before in a video, but, you know, after making videos for 7 years, you kind of don't remember every single thing you've said and when you've said them. Sometimes something might stick out and you might remember that stupid thing or whatever. But, one thing I think is really interesting to think about is what if these sightings of aliens that people claim they see all the time, what if it's not aliens and it's actually us from the future? And the reason they fly away is because they're worried about changing the past. You know? Like, that's the common thing that people are like, oh, you don't want to change the past, it'll fuck up the future. But what they're doing is they're flying back in time to study us in a very inconspicuous way, so when they're seen, they're like, oh shit, let's get right out of here. Obviously, that doesn't cover UFO abductions, but I think that makes for an interesting theory that kind of makes a lot of sense when you really consider it. That's my 2 cents at the very least. I'd still believe in aliens, just I think the UFO sightings like that, where it's like, oh, this little spaceship flew away, like, why can't it be that? Because I think that holds water. It's just maybe a little bit less exciting, because people would rather be like, oh, there's life out there, let's go out and hug them, even though they probably want to hug you with a laser gun or something. I mean, that's not entirely true. The reason people are afraid of, aliens is because we fear what we don't know. Pretty much it. Which, while we're talking about supernatural things, going back and stuff like ghosts, that would be another thing that it's like people fear because they don't understand it or they can't control it, they don't know. Did I ever mention? I think I did. I think it was in Luigi's mention. I probably said something like this. The one thing that scares me more than just regular ghosts is ghosts of animals. Like, if you hear a ghost dog bark, that fucks you up because, like, holy shit, that is some scary thing right there. I don't know how to explain why it's so scary, but just the idea of a ghost dog is scary. And like this barking from nowhere, and it's like, holy shit, that's fear right there. That's genuine fear. But while we're on the subject, it's gonna seem kind of like plugging, but whatever. Lately I've been watching, because I stumbled across it, videos of this guy who had been recording his life for, technically as of this point, like 6 years. It was up till 2010, 7 years. His name is Michael McGee, and I don't like reading the comments because everyone's like, fake, you can see the pixels, but like, apparently if you do research, that's just the way video cameras are. Because someone was like, yeah, you can see the pixels change when the sound does that, and he's like, if it's a sound error, the visuals wouldn't change because those are two separate entities. That doesn't make sense. Why are you stupid? And I also kind of feel bad for him because let's say for 1 second, this dude is pouring his fucking life out, trying to be like, guys, look what's happening to me, and then everyone's like, you're such a fake. Like, imagine if someone, like, okay, here's the perfect example. All those people that are like, oh, I have a mental illness, and like, say for a minute that you genuinely do have a mental illness, and then you got that person out there who's like, fake, you're faking it, you know? Like, imagine how that feels. Okay? Like, it feels pretty shitty, doesn't it? Now imagine that's you being haunted by a fucking ghost and everyone's calling you out on being a fake or some shit because, you know, ghosts just aren't accepted as a real thing yet or whatever. Alright, we need to stop you in your tracks. You're going a little bit too close there, buddy boy. Put you down. There you go, we sort it out. We'll fill it back up. We're good. We've only got 3, 4. But yeah, I don't like reading the comments just because it makes me kind of feel bad for him, and it's a case of like, yeah, I understand that you should take everything with a grain of salt. But I know for a fact ghosts are real. I've experienced that, and that's pretty much what it comes down to, is seeing it isn't believing it. Experiencing it is believing it. Like, when I first was living in a haunted house, I didn't think anything about it being haunted. I thought, honestly, people were playing pranks on me because, like, I was in my basement, because that's where the computer was, and I would always hear footsteps, and I would always go upstairs and check and be like, is someone breaking into my house? Are people from school trying to make fun of me? Are they playing games with my head? Never was anything there. It never occurred to me that it was a ghost. I always thought someone was fucking with me. So, you know, that's... But going back onto his story, though, like, I've been watching it. It's super interesting. I really like it. It's just, it kind of makes... I don't like reading the comments because I don't like seeing fake all the time. But it's also kind of interesting to see what the open-minded people have to say, too. And it's crazy because the dude was, like, legitimately stalked by, like, fucking Satan himself. Which, that's something that's happened to my sister before. She's woken up to see figures, like, looming of death above her, and she's screamed and all that, so... That's another one that kind of, I guess, close to home or whatever. Not in the sense of, like, I'm sensitive, but in the sense of, like, relatable, I guess. So maybe it's more interesting to me because I get it, but I still think it's just, like, an interesting bit of stuff. Oh, here you go. What he's been doing, which I didn't even think of this as being a thing, he's been using a Kinect camera, like Xbox Kinect cameras, and they'll pick up the skeletal figures of ghosts, and that is such a fucking mind-blowing thing to consider. Because, like, for starters, our eyes only pick up certain wavelength spectrums, etc., etc., as to where, you know, like dogs, cats, they can see shit we can't. And so does the Xbox. Oh, I thought it was supposed to get him too. Well, if you put it in the middle, it should hit... It's supposed to cover the whole thing. I guess you gotta put it in the middle in order for it to cover it. Oh well. But there you go, the Kinect. Who would have thought that could have been a ghost hunting tool? That's fucking insanely cool. Hello, excuse me. We would like to visit for a midnight snack. How does ice cream and brain sound? Sincerely, the zombies. They have to put a Z to make it cool. Hey, guess what? It's gonna be that conveyor belt thing again. Doing what we were doing before, right? So let's take a guess. We were at 13, and then... yeah, so it's probably pushing maybe closer to 40 minutes, I don't know. So, the downside to the Doom Shrooms is that when they blow up, they leave a crater, meaning you can't plant something down there. Let's do this. Hold off for a minute. I'll put you there, I guess. And then do that. Freezing's not such a bad idea. Put you there. I just can't wait to see some of those. Do this, and then that, and then that. Get them out. Oh, you ate my stuff! Well, that was rude of you. Just to have him piss off. Go away. I don't need you here. I need to set up. Yeah, we're up to 45 minutes, so I can afford to do a little bit more. Put that down. Take that out. Put that down. Yeah, you can hear him eating them, but you can't see him. That's the point I get on about. Let us do... Well, it doesn't matter, we're good now. Still fuck it. I don't like you. Yeah, if you see that fat-ass crater there, you can't plant on the craters. I gotta demonstrate everything I say, because... jokes. Alright, I'm gonna need you to piss off with that. And here you go, eat that. Then put that there. And we're good. We're having fun. Achievement? What achievement is that? Disco is undead? Oh, because I possessed him. Okay, well shit. Go me. I just thought of it as a strategic thing to do, not a thing that would have been worth the reward. Thanks. Oh, here's a thing for you. Interesting fact. The beta, I guess, name for this game was actually Lawn of the Dead, like a pun on Shaun of the Dead. So I think that's pretty cool. I think it's a shame they couldn't get it. I think they couldn't get it for some really stupid reason. So that makes me sad for them, but they'll be okay. They've done fine on their own. So, because I know this ties into something else I have written down. One thing, this is gonna sound so stupid, but do you ever look at yourself and think, oh, maybe this is why I am the way I am? Because recently I've been doing that, except I kind of look at it and I'm like, oh, maybe I like this stuff because, like, I grew up in a different country. So, for instance, like, England is so much different than America. It's just different in very, very subtle ways. So, a lot of stuff that, like, their style of humor is different, and I feel like that's probably the reason my style of humor is the way it is because of them. Also, you notice that the creator comes back. Well, it's not done yet, but it's working on it. But yeah, I feel like that's probably the reason my style of humor is. I want to say ghosts as well, but obviously not all English people are going to believe in ghosts. But England's like haunted as fuck. My mom always said it, apparently it's considered the Isle of Spirits. So, that's a thing. But yeah, I don't know, it's just kind of the things that I've considered recently. I'm like, maybe that's why I am the way I am. Because they have such different ways of, I don't know, it's weird to grow up in a different culture and then consider how the one you're in is compared to this one. Because a lot of people are like, well, it's hard to think of the changes because what you think you know is what you think is normal, but it's not normal, but you have no way of knowing that because you have nothing to compare it to. Like, how can you compare your childhood to somebody else's, you know? You can't because you don't know any different. I'll put it there, I guess. Yo, I got a present for you. I guess we'll start doing that. And then that. I can plant wherever I want. You can't stop me. Watch this. It was a waste, but I don't care. I don't know why I was doing that. I'm loving how much freeze and doom shrooms they're giving me. I'm just trying to casually... I'm used to them, like, filling me up with plants. They'd rather fill me up with, plants, you know. Proper shrooms like this, where I fight with them. But they're just giving me, like, I don't know the word for it. Problem solvers. Kinda hoping maybe I can stall just for a little bit. Oh, that was an accident. Well, sorted itself out. 50 minutes.